That's a cool intro.
Time to make the donut. Time to make the donut. Time to make the donut. Time to make the donut.
And a good Mecca Lecca Hi and Mecca Hiney Ho to you, sir.
Well, a Mecca Lecca hi right back to you, good sir. Good morning. Happy Sunday morning. Welcome to another episode of Content. Mike, what is it that you have in your coffee this morning?
I've got it's pretty cool. I've been trying all kinds of weird stuff. Weird to me because they're different, and you know how difficult humans can be. You know, anything different is weird and unusual, and
resist change at all costs.
Oh gosh, of course. But I've got some vanilla flavored oat milk as a replacement for milk, and it's pretty damn tasty.
I certainly believe that.
Yeah, it feels like I'm having oatmeal.
Oatmeal and coffee at the same time, folks.
It's nice.
What has led you down this exploration of the dairy products? I guess, is it not dairy if it's oat milk? If it's milk,
well, it's not coming from an animal.
That's right.
So that's one thing. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, Derek. You know that. If there's anything it's that.
As I know, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm just in there experimenting.
Yes.
Stuff.
Now you're juicing as well.
Yes, I'm doing. All right, this is what I've been doing. The problem with creative people is
there's a lot of problems with that.
Once you put us on a path, it just gets crazy.
We got to see it to the end,
Yeah, so here I am, starting to get into smoothies. I think I mentioned that, and so then that wasn't enough. So then I bought like $50 worth of teas.
Nice.
So I
bought tea, man.
I bought this case. Even that's what made it 50 because I bought a case to put them all in.
Yes.
So that like you can, it's right on the counter,
kind of individualized slots.
Sort of like if you were staying in like a cheap motel and you go to make your own breakfast,
as I have many times, yes.
And they have all those little things while you're like,
you got that set up at home now.
3-day-old pancakes, and you're like, this isn't so bad. It's free,
while
you're
dry
doing that
scrambled
whole thing.
Eggs, yeah.
So I got the tea thing, and it's actually, I don't know, it's probably like 12, 13 different ones. And so they're these blends and everything, but healthy stuff, like all kinds. Like I can't even remember all the stuff. Like, so yesterday they had one called Focus. And so I was going to work on this song, and I'm like, well, this is a good time to try the Focus one.
I mean, I'm looking to focus right now, yeah.
But being Mr. Creative, I make the tea, and then I say, there's no reason I can't mix this in with my smoothie creation.
Wow.
Which has the 8 mushrooms, the turmeric, the cinnamon. God, there's so many things in there. It's retarded. It's just stupid. Cacao. It's just crazy. So I'm like, why can't I just put these two things together? So then I put, I do the hot tea, and then I throw ice in it. And then I throw it right in the blender as the base instead of like water. So
ooh, yeah,
and actually it made it taste really good because the tea is very naturally sweet because they mix it in with like different things like little pieces of apple, and so it's already sweet. Usually I don't even put sugar in it. So then I did that, and then I did my mix, and I was lit. I was, Derek. I kid you not. I was legit.
You're feeling.
I was like, when you, I don't know if you've ever done this, but the wild coffee, like the red eye one.
Oh yes.
Whatever
Hmm.
I don't know. They
Yeah,
put like
and they
three
have like some.
espressos, and
I've
it's
had like a nitro coffee kind of thing.
something crazy. Yeah, like if you
Yeah.
you go and order the one where you order and they go, are you
Are
sure?
you? You have to sign a
And you go,
waiver before
yep,
you
I'm sure that one.
sign me up, buddy.
Yeah, let's go. And then you know, and then later on you're like, oh my god.
You get the sweats, you know.
Yeah, but it was weird because since it's not, quote unquote, it's not caffeine. There's some caffeine in there,
Mm.
I guess, because I had the matcha. Maybe I don't know. I don't know too much.
Hmm.
And that's what's dangerous about me. I'm doing this and I don't know much. So man, I was so like focused and like it was weird. It felt like you ever hear about those college kids that they take stuff to study and everything.
Oh, of course.
I felt like one of those guys. But it's all natural. It's a smoothie.
Right. It's
So I
not
was blown
anything
away.
illegal here.
And my song went along pretty well. I'm about halfway done. Though what's left of it is just it's more like just going through the process.
Mm.
But it's done. The character I wanted to play in it and everything is done. It's cool, man.
Did you have fun putting it together?
I did.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like I'm getting the I know I've told you about the whole idea of the album, but I'm getting it's getting more interesting because I'm really like doing. Good morning, John. Like I'm doing characters, so like I really got it now. What I'm doing,
Yeah.
so it's very character-ish.
Mhm.
It's just fun, and I'm talking about these really sometimes dark things.
Mm.
So it goes back from like you know I'm stealing I'm stealing a lot from like and I shouldn't even say my name with this guy, but David Chappelle. But I'm stealing kind of like his genius as my approach, which is like he takes these serious topics, he kind of pokes fun at them,
Mm.
but he does it in a way where even if you're the person who's like racist, let's say, you've got to laugh at it and say, yeah,
You can't help it.
that's true. So I did that with kind of the song I'm doing, which is kind of it's kind of about the cult experience, but I did it in a fun way, and thanks to my funky smoothie, it gave me
Came
like
out
that
nice.
extra boost. So I feel I don't know, it's very weird to me that I've got this little corner of teas and powders and I mix them all in my smoothie and listen, I'm lit, man. I'm lit.
Well, we always do support all types of experimentation here on Content within the limits of safety, of course. Good morning, Anna, by the way.
Hey Anna.
So here we are, February 28th, the last day in February, Mike. Tomorrow,
Oh boy.
March 1st. Hard to believe. I want to say that New York City kind of shut down on like March 13th. So we are
We're
almost
coming on that, yeah.
about at the 1 year anniversary. And usually anniversaries are good things. This one will not be, in my opinion. But
man.
nonetheless, here we go. What do you want to do first here, Mike? What you want me to go over some stuff? You got something you want to throw out there?
No, let's I don't know. I mean, let's have a conference about what we should do. Just kidding.
Okay.
No, let's do the usual. Yeah, want to recap. I think we can. You want to travel in time? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we did happen to make a big discovery this week, which was we did discover a sort of not necessarily a time machine, but a portal to the future.
Yeah, I
guess you
mean,
could say.
should we? I mean, that's kind of like a big deal. That's why I wasn't sure if you wanted to do that, and I was
I
trying
don't
to
know.
change
Do
the
we
subject.
save it for the end or?
No, I mean, I don't even know if we should do that. I mean, will we get in some type of trouble to tell people that we're time traveling? And I mean,
with regard to our intergalactic overlords, I am concerned.
yeah, me too. I mean,
but nonetheless,
they were pretty strict. I mean,
I am willing to take that.
and truth be
chance.
told, where do you think I'm getting these smoothie concoctions? They took us on the ship. and they gave me some secrets. They said, Mike, we know you're
Start
working on this
passing out
album.
drinks. Yep.
They said this is totally fine. This is no side effects. It's going to be great for you. And they said the problem is they say don't tell anyone. And my mouth is just too big a mouth. It just
what are we gonna,
it just keeps telling people stuff. It just won't shut up. All right.
So that being said, I think we should take the chance.
We got to do it now. It's too late now, right?
This would be us from the future.
Yeah, me and Derek, we had the privilege of going into the future to see ourselves, and I recorded it on my iPhone, and apparently it's kind of cool. The iPhone worked when we were in the future.
Thank goodness.
And I was very worried about that. So we're gonna share it, guys. And this is me and Derek in the future, about 20 years from now.
20. let's say like 30 or 40.
Let's say 30 or 40. All right. 30, 40 years from now, doing content. Here we go.
A certain number of people that understand and have bigger pictures, then it starts to snowball. Then it starts to reinforce itself very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, we're not there yet. We're still struggling to get us to that critical mass. But at least there's a lot of movement now. There's probably more open-mindedness now than there was 20 years ago. You can see a kind of a movement where people are more open. Part of that is they used to know what they believed, and that was generally materialism. And then we got the internet, and the internet has so much information, so much good information, and so much nonsense, and so much bad information that suddenly they didn't know what they believed anymore, which actually threw them into a place of being more open-minded than they were when they thought for sure they knew exactly the way the world is. So that's one of the effects of this internet, is that it's making people a little more open to possibilities, because they have seen that there's so much confusing data out there that you have to turn inside to be able to find what's helpful from what's not. You can't just get it from the outside, so the internet now is helping push people to this sense of being more open to possibilities, and that's good. So the technology helps, I think, more than it hurts. The technology also has its negative side, of course. We have all the conspiracy theories that are all about fear, 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 and fear, and that helps people be more fearful, not helps people grow up. But at the same time, it's broadening. It's we used to compare people who traveled a lot, and we said that they were sophisticated, and people who had never got more than 20 miles away from where they were born, and they were very provincial. And that sophisticated was much better because you had a bigger picture. Well, we want to do the same thing, but the traveling is not just in the physical reality. The traveling now has to be in a broader sense, and the traveling needs to see things from a broader picture. And that's the spiritual growth. And it's not so much, there's a lot of paranormal things you can do when you.
Yeah, man. So, actually, it's a pretty good clip, and you were dropping some jewels there, Derek.
No, as I was gonna say, I'm the one on the left?
Oh, that's definitely. There. Oh my gosh, and you know what's so funny?
I got a great beard, I gotta say.
I'm over there, round face. That's how you know. You know, it's the round face. I'm the round face guy, and I've got the purple shirt too.
That's true.
So I'm still loving
you do look
purple.
great in that color, man.
I do have one beef with you though. How come you're in the forest and I'm not?
Well,
I'm in my office. Is that my future? Stuck in an office, and you're out there in the wilderness.
It's because at some point I'll have a nervous breakdown and I'll have to move into the woods, and I welcome that, honestly.
Yeah, man. So actually, in all seriousness, he was dropping some jewels. That guy, he really was.
Now, who are those two men, Mike? What are their names before we inhabit there?
Wait a second. You're asking me
can't put
who
down
people's names are? This is this is great, Derek. This is good. No, actually, I think one of them. He's the guy who wrote that Toe book. It's called.
Oh, My Left Toe.
My Left
That's the
Toe.
book that Julie was
Joe,
telling us about, right? Or My Big Toe?
Julie's the
Joe-
one who put me onto this video because she shared it, and I
Thomas
watched the whole thing.
Campbell is one of the guys.
Campbell, yes, and the other guy.
Wow, that guy's legit. Good for him.
Yeah, some great stuff. I watched it from the beginning to the end, and I really enjoyed it. Some great information, and those guys, both of them, very, it was good. It was very good. It did feel it honestly, quite honestly, it did feel like us many years from now if we keep going.
It is alarming
because they were definitely discussing things well beyond where we are right now.
Is that so?
And so I mean, it made sense. I mean, they are a little older than us.
And a couple years.
they were dropping some stuff, so it was pretty cool, man. So that's just a
What
story.
what a week we had between the teas, the oat milks, and the time travel. I mean, it's been a heck of a week, guys.
Yeah, it has.
Well, let me say this, Mike. A big thanks to Paige Highmark for coming on the Wednesday late night show. It's been a while since I talked to Paige for an extended period of time. Keep up with social media and stuff like that. She's such a fantastic guest. I wish her all the luck out in Buffalo, there in the Great West, Western New York.
I've got to catch that episode, man. Definitely
good stuff. Tuesday night we did chapter 5 of the book. Of course, this coming Tuesday we will do chapter 6, which is the final chapter, and it's the best one. So if there was one to tune in, I would gladly welcome. I will have to go back and redo chapter 1 also. So on that one, I was trying to do everything on one computer, and I realized it made my audio cut in and out a lot. So we'll have to do the old Tarantino style, do the last thing first, do the first thing last. But chapter 6 is going to be good. And I do have something I'd like to bring up to you, Mike, and I almost want to throw this back to one of the things that helped us kind of form the idea of this show, which is honestly, man, me seeking advice from you.
I never really thought of it that way. But you tell it. Let's see.
So I just had an interesting kind of series of coincidences this week where on Wednesday night with Paige, we had a conversation about, honestly, we started talking about painting. And, how Paige was saying, which I thought was so well put. She's as an artist, and she is an actual artist. She also makes very cool cakes and stuff like that. And she's a comedy person too. She's a host of a podcast, Page by Page, it's called. Look it up.
That's a great title.
I know, perfect, right? And
that's excellent.
She was saying about social media. She's I understand that social media is a platform where you can share your art and stuff like that. She was I don't do particularly well on social media. Now,
she's talking my language.
Right. Exactly. So, and by the way, neither do I. In terms of, we're measuring this against people who have enormous followings on Instagram. Every has 10,000 likes. And she was saying, I would be lying if I didn't say that sometimes when I'm creating art, I'm thinking about, is this going to get likes, or is this the right time? Is this the right kind of thing? Which of course is a very bad place for any artist to be in, is immediately, whilst creating, thinking, are they going to like it? Are they going to like it? So then I had that conversation with Paige on Wednesday. Then the next day, I got together with a friend of mine, Chris, who's a director, and he said the same exact thing, where he's a photographer also, and he's posting some of his photographs from the snow in New York City. He's been posting a bunch the past couple weeks. His photos are phenomenal. And he's anytime that I think I'm this is it, this is going to be my push on Instagram or whatever social media, I do it really I stick to it for like 2 weeks, and you
Yeah.
start to get diminishing returns on likes. And then he's like, and then I just feel terrible about it. And then I don't post anything for like 2 months, which has been my exact experience as well. And then on Friday, I was talking with another person that we work with, Etienne. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet him. He's like a director and an animator,
Oh
a
wow.
wonderful artist also. And he said the same. I had the same conversation
Oh,
with
man.
3 different people 3 days in a row. And he was like, social media, like anytime I gear up to do it, I'm like, oh yeah, let's do. I post a bunch of things, and then I get discouraged by it, and
Oh,
then I'm
man.
like, oh, forget this, man. I can't really deal with this.
I'm gonna beat up the man when you're done.
And so that's a kind of a thing that we've discussed before, where it's the Thomas Merton quote that do not depend on the hope of results. You have to focus on the truth, the value, and the rightness of the work itself. And we've also discussed the fact that, like, yeah, I kind of think, and maybe this is me just self-justifying, but that a person who is a true artist, it tends to be, I think, a more sensitive person, a person who considers things in different ways, sees things or focuses on things that most people or other people don't necessarily, and is able to be this sort of intermediary between like individuals and common experience. Or even if you go see Jerry Seinfeld, his whole act is, oh yeah, I feel that way too. But if you see a Van Gogh painting, it's evocative. It makes you feel a certain way about a certain thing. And it's, again, you're the messenger between individuals and experience. And so it seems to me that artists, the good ones, the profound ones, and again, I'm not saying that I am this, by the way. Maybe I'm just justifying myself. But they are more sensitive, and like the folks, it's not to say that there aren't good artists who do well on social media. It's just that not all good artists do well on social media. And social media is of course, it's a good platform, and I do want people to see things, but it's now regarded as like the only avenue through which you could find someone who is creative. And some of that doesn't necessarily have to do with the quality of the art itself as much as like the timing / like the connections. And I also think like a hard-headed person who maybe isn't as sensitive but is a little more business oriented, as it were, is able to just say, I don't care, whatever, just post, and keep hitting your head against the wall until something eventually hits, and then you're like, well, I did it. And that can be frustrating. In a way, it was comforting to me to have that same conversation with 3 different artists who I really respect, and I would bet my life on the fact that they're very talented at what they do. And so then, similarly, on Saturday, now I won't go into any specifics here because I cannot. But so now I'm writing like some new kind of funny songs again. I'm really excited to get out and start playing them and whatnot, and recording studio versions and stuff like that. And I'm trying to shoot a music video, all this stuff. And I basically discovered another kid in New York City who's doing something very similar to me and already has like quite a large following on social media doing this. Now, in my quarantine period, I'd kind of convinced myself like, oh, wow, I'm onto something like really unique here. I don't know of anybody who's really doing this kind of thing. And so here I found a kid who's like, it's pretty much exactly what I'm trying to do. And he's quite successful at it. And man, it was one of those things where intellectually, we talk about these kind of things every week, how you got to focus on your journey. And you can't change it, really, anybody. Everything is so personal. And yet, it really threw me through a loop. I was really upset about it. And so what I would like to pick your brain about a little bit, man, is competition. And this is something that we even kind of were talking about with regard to the animal kingdom last week on the show. And, the hierarchical thinking of certain types of species and things like this. And some of this is just inherent to the experience of being alive. But how did you handle competition on your way up? Like, did you ever see other people making beats and you were like, oh my gosh, I hate that person? Or like, why does that person have this reputation or what have you? Did you allow it to fuel you eventually? Or was it a muscle that you eventually just were able to have enough of your own confidence in yourself that you weren't really concerned with what other people were doing? Like, how did you handle that throughout the years?
All right. Well, you know what you did. You just threw like a whole bunch of stuff at me,
I did.
a ton. It happens to be things that I've thought a ton about. I want to start back with the social media.
Yeah.
The social media thing, and this is why I said I want to beat up the man, because that is an intentional thing for all you artists out there who don't understand it. It is done on purpose to make you pay for ads. So the frustration you feel, it's real, but it's also machine driven. It's AI driven. So you go and you post some stuff and you get a little traction, and then they actually pull back on how many people can see in an attempt, because it's always games with the mind, right? That they're playing to get you to now say, wait a second, I need to spend some money, make a business account, and spend $20 a week, $100 a week. And I can tell you, I know successful people personally who sell beats that are very successful, and when they open up and they tell you honestly, they've spent $500 a month on ads minimum before they saw returns. So you're looking at like 6 months of that. So what's 500 times 6 is 3,500. So which is a business investment. It's if you're serious about what you can't really in any business, you can't expect to just out of nowhere. And I think it's sort of a fantasy that, quite honestly, very, very rarely do people legit go viral. Like legit go viral. Like something
and like
just
come out of nowhere. Yeah.
and come out of nowhere. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It does happen because the algorithms and everything, if it's going to benefit the big platforms, they'll ride with it, right? So it depends. There's going to be math that goes into whether or not they're going to push your post that to go viral. Is it going to work? Is it that type of content? Because they just want to keep people's eyes glued. So what a lot of people try to do who don't want to spend the money is do something really crazy. Like many incredible artists I've seen. There was my favorite story of this, there's many, is Doja Girl. She's a very talented female singer. Like, she's really good. She's a great writer. She's in every sense, creativity, ridiculously creative to the point on that Dave Chappelle level of mocking and even putting commentary into something. Like, she's mocking everything, but she's really got a deep message in there. Like, really playing the media well. She's excellent at it. She came out with a song called "I'm a Cow." Dumbest song ever. You would think, looking at her, that was the first taste we got of who this person is. And it was just ridiculous. I'm a cow. I'm a cow. Like some really dumb song. And
respect, honestly.
And so that thing went all over the place. So she's so intelligent that she understood this is how it works. I'll do it. And then she started to show people, I know, that was just messing with you to get you to follow me. And she's also, And another advantage on social media is beautiful women. They have a crazy advantage.
Sure.
That's an automatic like.
Yeah.
That's an automatic like. No matter what you do, if you're just a beautiful woman, that's a
Right.
like.
It's gonna
So
be
they have
people are
like
interested in that.
an ridiculously automatic edge, let's say. So that's just. I just wanted to say that to be honest about social media.
Yeah.
And then
I didn't know that about the algorithm kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course, that's
and then
the
when
way
you
they work
spend
it
money,
now.
here's what it is too. They mess with you too. You spend money, and then you start to get something, and then the same thing. You cap out, and then you're like, oh my god, how much do I have to spend? And then you become the guy who spends $500 a month for 6 months, and then it starts to really, and you got to be doing it right too. You could easily spend the $3,500 to get nothing, but if you're spending the $3,500 just studying your niche. It's really serious. It's not. It's no joke. It's committed. It takes time. Excuse me. It takes just as much time to do that well as it would to just be creative. Now let's skip forward. Like I said, you threw a lot at me.
I know. I'm sorry.
That's the beginning.
I had an interesting week.
That's the beginning. And then now let's move on to the other stuff you were talking about, which is just artist stuff. So it's very personal. So one thing I want to say is no idea. Nas says this a lot, and it's a very old proverb. No idea is original. Whatever's been thought of that you're thinking has been thought of before. So I always start out there. I never expect that anything that I think of is going to be original. Whether it was 100 years ago, 50 years ago, last week, the guy across the street from me, someone's thinking of it or thought of it. And which is why we're on this collective consciousness. Like everything you're talking about is even connected to things I was thinking of this week in a whole nother way. So there's always this connectivity, which is why we do the way we do the show and everything, and we don't even necessarily have to plan because everything just lines up. It just depends what you're looking at and everything. So as an artist, that's 101. You're never going to come up with an original idea. So in a way, that's a nice thing to think about, because then you just throw it all away and you just say, all right, I want to do this. That's it. I'm doing it. Is he doing it? Is he doing it? Oh, yeah, maybe not. Doesn't matter. Maybe that person will stop. This is what I want to do. And then now you also talked about the genuineness and how do you do it? And how do you cope with the competitiveness? Well, the truth is, when you get into the competitive nature of everything, you change the dynamics of your art. And it's sometimes necessary to be successful. You change the dynamics. So you're still doing art, but you're doing it in a way where you're thinking about people. So there's two ways to look at this. I justified it to myself because I started out very, very artsy. Like, the underground scene I was into was like, we were the truth. You know what I mean? We were the real hip hop. We were the backpackers. It's like this whole little niche group. And we knew what real hip hop was, and everybody else was just stupid.
And in your defense, you were probably correct about that.
So we really, no, but it was. There's an arrogance to that too, right?
Yeah.
So we're in this thing, and we're in this like groove of that. So we want to be true, and then that, even in that, you can become competitive. So I'm not going to go too far into that. So only thing I'll leave that alone and move on is just to say, wherever you are, even if it's in the real quotes art area, you can be competitive there too. So I just wanted to even the playing field to unknown, known, very famous. It's all the same struggle as an artist. I just wanted to even it out. So it's not like the guys coming up are different. No. So there's always going to be this internal battle as to whether you do art that's 100% F you, this is what I want to express. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. And like where I'm at right now in my art is that, I'm writing that book, I'm doing the album, and I'm completely not giving a F what I'm doing as far as does it match, does it fit in, are people going to appreciate it? I'm not, but I have this excuse me, ingrained kind of formula because I know how to make hits. So what I'm trying to do, and this is where I'm at in this whole. It's interesting because what you're talking about is stuff I've been thinking about too, in different ways. What I'm trying to do, and I think this is a good goal for any artist, is to do the honest, true expression of that makes you feel good as you're doing it, because you're seeing something, you want to bring it to light, and at the same time try your best to make it the type of communication that people will get with, that they'll kind of like, it's still a good tune, let's say, but you're throwing in some stuff in there and it's kind of fun, and it's not just so, that's what I tried to do yesterday. It's like, it's still a good tune. It's still got some catchiness. And what I'm adding to it is sort of a theatrical, some different characters and personality. And that's where I'm kind of doing something a little different. But I mean, it's not like no one's ever done anything like that before. But it's what I'm doing. And I'm trying to do it. Will it? And this is the weird thing. Even though I'm doing it in that way, I got to be honest with myself and say, this could just be for me. This could just be something I want to do. And I just want to do it, just for the sake of that. Maybe it'll catch on. Maybe it'll, I have a message I want to get across. Maybe it'll get across. Maybe it won't. But I'll tell you, if you can get there, at the very least, just like this show, 5 viewers, 10, 100,000. I still want to get up every Sunday, even as hard as it is sometimes, and do it. And I think that's the key. If you, anybody else, Paige or whoever is doing art, whatever type of art it is, if you just want to do it, and it's tricky to get, and don't let these algorithms and this AI throw you for a loop and frustrate you, because if you spend the money, people are gonna see you. It's you put, social media is tricky, man. You put up a post, sometimes 20 people will see it, and then 5 interact. Sometimes it's not justified. The numbers aren't justified. So to justify yourself with unfair numbers that are nothing to do with you, they're just pieces in a big advertising system, and however you fit into that is how you're going to be played. It's not fair to judge art by that. It really isn't. And some art is going to be, like you said, amazing, but that, it to be successful, because then you asked me, how did I deal with the competition? Competition, you can play it a lot of ways. I mean, I fell into the trap of, but trap in quotes, I don't know, was it the worst trap to fall in? But I did fall into the trap of like watching, okay, I got something for that. You know what I mean? That I fell into that trap, and that was like learning from the person, respecting the person, but wanting to win versus that person or those people, or it can be a form of respect too. Like it wasn't always like, oh, I'm gonna, whatever. It was like, damn. Like sometimes people would blow me away with the music they did, and it would send me back to the drawing board. And I think that's the healthy competition. Like if you're doing something within a community and someone just rips it apart, and you're like, damn, that little key he threw in there changed everything. And that can make you go back to the drawing board and improve. But how you frame it, whether to be popular, successful, or are you just mastering and sharpening your tools and getting good at your craft, It's so complex, and it's so individual, that whole dynamic, that it's like it's very case by case, and it's very, very personal choices. You know, to stay here, to stay there, to, you know, and what are you going to content, right? What are you going to be content with at the end of the day? What are you going? That's the big questions that people have to ask themselves. Like, am I going to be? Do I need? Like, I had a need to do well in that way. I had a deep need. You know, I had this like hole, and I needed to do it. So that's why I pushed so hard, and I even kind of like, you know, suppressed a lot of feelings, and I got really tough about it. But if that need isn't there, and you know, someone's more mature, it's not necessary, maybe, you know. But it comes with a price. It comes with a price. Just like that guy I told you, the guy I told you. I mean, I'm not gonna say his name, but the guy I told you, he's one of the top selling online producers, you know, on Beats. And that's how he did it. He sacrificed. He paid, and he's very talented. He's great. He's incredible. Like his melodies, his production, you name it, across the board, it's superior music. You know, that he's selling to artists, and he had to do that. So it's not like, I don't even know, honestly, if being good alone, because it's marketing, it's strategy, it's to really break through. I do believe it can organically happen still, but if it is going to organically happen, it's only going to be through consistency.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And you know, when you consider, first off, I think that algorithm stuff is important, very important. I feel like social media is not generally understood as that. I feel like people, until you just said that, I understood social media to be like a relatively egalitarian type of platform where it's like, well, you put something out, and I know it's again about like connections and who you know as well, but
that's what they want you to think, because that keeps you putting it.
Which is sad. Oh my God!
That's
of course.
Why I told you, the first person to beat up in that whole explanation you gave there of what's been going on was the man. I had to get him first, because he made a bad situation worse.
Like, and of course, money had to be involved in it.
Oh yeah, of course. He's got to get that money out of your pocket.
And there is something to be said for consistency. So many things in life are just make sure you show up.
Yeah.
And then keep showing up and let time go by, and things will start to happen.
Things do.
I do believe that.
Absolutely. Because I didn't spend $500 a month, and once in a while I get some sales on my online beats.
There you go.
So, and they surprised the heck out of me. I'm like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm. And you're very consistent in the sense you have an enormous catalog. And shockbeats.com, honestly, guys, if you want to buy one, they're really good. They're featured prominently on Content Content.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess it makes it a little easier to be consistent when you consider that, when you have the knowledge that social media is not an egalitarian platform. And again, it's back to Mern. It's do not depend on the hope of results, but on the value, the truth, and the rightness. And like you said, ultimately, it will still come down to you. Do you feel good about what you are doing?
Absolutely.
Do you feel proud of what you are doing? Do you like what you are doing? Do you feel it's an honest expression of what you are doing? And also, too, I would just like to extrapolate this a little bit to say, this is almost, I think there are many aspects of life where this kind of thing applies. Like even in a workplace situation where, you know, say you care about your job and there's other people who are more gung-ho in certain ways, and there's other people who brown nose like crazy. I mean, there's lots of different, even in family situations or whatever, lots of different areas that this kind of applies, where this competitive spirit, because I am a pacifist, and I think that the world is mostly compassion, and I think we live in a world socioeconomic system that incentivizes psychopaths and really bad people, and that's why they control the world. But I think most people are pretty peaceful. Most people just want to chill. Most people want to make sure as I am fond of saying, that their mom is okay and have some drinks with their friends on Fridays. Nevertheless, there are those, competition is inherent to the human experience. Greed is inherent to the human experience in certain instances. And it is something that we must reckon with. And I suppose, like you said, and it doesn't, ultimately I have, in having, let's say, 24 hours to process this, I have allowed that competitive spirit to inspire me. And, I guess it doesn't have to do that instantly. It's okay to be upset. I'm talking into a mirror right now. It's okay to be upset at first. But ultimately, it is best used if it is allowed to. But there's a difference between the competitive spirit and I guess that just the general being discouraged by social media and things like that.
I mean, I'm going to tie this into something I've been thinking about a lot. Personalities and relationships. And here's the thing. Like, for example, I'm starting to discover that I'm not an alpha, but I'm like an odd sort of beta, where I'll confront an alpha, but I don't want to be an alpha.
You know what? I think I'm the same way, man. And also, I could tell a story of you I have multiple stories of you confronting alphas, to your credit, which I will not share here.
Gosh, yeah. I think I know a couple of them. There was there's one that everyone was witness to.
Don't try and pull shit with Mike Gomez, okay?
But that's the thing. I think that why I may be able to get along with alphas too is because I happen to be non-threatening also. Because I'm non-threatening because I don't want to be the alpha. I just want you to not be such a bad word. So, and I think that is the conflict of artists. I'm gonna dare say, because certain personalities tend to be more creative, tend to be artistic, and what happened is within the art communities, whatever, music to whatever, there will be alphas. And they're creative, but and I'm gonna just mess with alphas right now hard. But see, alphas that are creative are dangerous because they're so alpha and they're so wanting to reach the top. They're the ones who steal everybody's crap. They're the ones who are more manipulative. They're the ones who aren't thinking like Derek, where I want to hit. I got this. They're the ones who will see what Derek is doing and be like, that's a freaking great idea. But Derek's all, thoughty and thinking about, I'm gonna package this real nice and I know how to work it. And they're the ones who really win. Because for every alpha, there's about a combination of 20 of me and you types.
And they're standing on our necks.
Inside that alpha, there's like 20 people who contributed to that alpha's whole persona, right? Because they're alphas are takers, they're winners, they're without emotion, they're dominators, and that I think is why a lot of artists get into these places where it's they get sort of mistreated or whatever you want to call it, because the alphas are going to win. They're always going to win. They're going to win, and that's why I think it has a lot to do with personality and relationship. Because the relationships that we form, being different types of personalities, or even with our art, that's another relationship to think about. Your relationship with your art, is your art defining you and your value? Because it damn well shouldn't. But I mean, I'll tell you what, for an alpha, it sure is.
Yeah.
And that's a driver for them too. The fact that their art is actually so connected to their self-worth is a driver, because now it's a desperate thing. If I can't hit that mark, I'm gonna go down a really dark hole. So I need to. And so if I have to steal from you and steal from you to keep doing what I'm doing, or shut you down or do something, messed up to throw a wrench in what you're doing to help what I'm doing, or put a bad word in and slander you to somebody, or, alphas are fearful. They're scared of people who are better at what they do than they are.
Yeah.
Because they know they can lose that slot if people realize how good that person is. So they have to shut the door, and and that's why I wanted to talk about personalities, because I've been thinking about that a lot, and the relationships and that we have with one another with different personalities, and it does play into the kind of dynamics that you were speaking of, I think, Derek, like with art, creativity, who's going to be a front runner of something. Because quite often, I mean, I've never heard a story ever where the person who created something really benefits. Never heard that before.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean, let's take hip hop. You got the people who really made it. Like, let's say Rapper's Delight. That's probably the record people, which it's not the first hip hop record, but people will run around claiming it is, because it's the biggest known. It's the one that really blew up, right? So most of those rhymes were taken from other people on tapes and stuff like that, compiled and then packaged and just sent across the world, because those people at the Sugar Hill Company, who are infamous for robbing people and their publishing and I mean big time, like ridiculously, very business-minded people, those people who ran that company. And they packaged it and they saw it had something. They had nothing to do with the realness of it. They just said, man, this is working. Look at this. In the microcosm of Harlem, let's say, they were like, look at what's happening, man. This is really something new. Let's make it a record. And they saw other people making records, and they were like, wow, man, but we can do it. And they did. They put good production value. They made a good tune. And they're getting credit for the first record and a movement like that. But they didn't birth it, right? Then you go into the DJs in hip hop. You got Kool Herc, you got Grandmaster Flash. I mean, you got Coco. We like go into all these type of names or whatever. And those people, I mean, much later they started, people pay homage to them. People go in front of the building where Kool Herc lived and everything. But Kool Herc ain't really getting paid off this thing. That's the truth. I mean, he might be getting something for an appearance, something for that. But he's not making what he like for doing it. But I tell you one thing, he's obviously not an alpha, because no disrespect to him. I mean, he's somewhere in the middle, because if he was a real alpha, he would have been shutting people down and making things and making sure he was at the head of it and making people sign to him and owning things, and that's how alphas move.
And to his credit, he might not be as well known if he was very alpha. He might have said no to some things that otherwise it just kind of got out there.
Maybe, we don't know, right? But the point is that to me, the reason I say he's not an alpha is because I'm not on the alpha team, and I think he's pretty damn cool. And for him to do what he did, the way he did, and throw the parties, and from the history that I've learned. So I don't want to put him on the alpha team, because I'm not an alpha proponent. So I want him to not be an alpha. So that's my bias. But maybe he is. I don't know. But if he is, then he, didn't really perform as alphas are expected. Because he should have been robbing people and doing a lot more shady stuff and making a company and whatever. So that's the kind of that's what I mean by like the people who really make something, like invent it. Who's the first guy to do this? Who's the first guy? They're not alphas. They're creatives. They're really in there playing around. Who's the first one, to do this or to do that? Wow,
and that is true throughout history, because isn't it always the case of like some invention that
Yeah.
some little guy invented it and some guy stole it from him, and that
Yeah.
guy who stole it is the one, like Nikola Tesla invented all those things and Thomas Edison stole them from him, so the story goes. But everybody loves Edison, and it took years and years.
Yeah, to Ivan, I mean, I don't know if I'm using it right or wrong. I'm just using alpha. You know how they say alpha males?
Right.
I'm no
This is
expert in
the go-getter person
Yeah,
who, like you
it's
said,
just a
really defines
generalization.
themselves by their work and says,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I'm just using it
it's
as,
this
I guess, a
cutthroat,
figurative term.
business-oriented individual.
You know, the ends justify the means. Tough, guy ready to do what he's got to do to win.
It's really a selfish way to go through life.
Yeah, the self.
Which, again, I would argue that if you are a true artist, you are more sensitive than that.
Yes. So it's the selfish. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So Ivan says didn't know he's half asleep. Yeah,
Well, you better wake up.
Yeah, we got to get you one of those smoothies I've been making. Yeah, so I think that's it's inherent, and there's even within family structure, within there's always these different personalities, and what's been helping me is to look at them as personalities, and I think we talked a little bit about this, just me and you, Derek. When you look at it doesn't make it necessarily easier, but if you just understand that someone is a personality type. And this is how they operate and this is how they think, it does help to not be so upset with them. Not to be so, here's one Ivan says, good artists copy, but great artists steal. I mean, I don't agree with that, but there's truth to it. I'll say, great artists are great artists, and the guys who steal are bags of shh. But we all do copy. That's the thing. We don't create anything.
It's what you said, Mike. Is nobody really has an original thought.
Yeah, no one really does create.
So there's a difference between being inspired and then like going into someone's catalog and taking a thing, scratching out their name, putting your name on it.
Yes. So I mean, we're all inspired by other things, and we're all see, and that's also a justification for an alpha. If an alpha recognizes that and says, well, he's not the only one who's ever done that, but there's a lot of ways you can justify things, and it's true, nothing's original. All we do, it was C.S. Lewis that taught me this. We don't make anything. All we do is reassemble what's already there in a what we think is a different way that we haven't seen it done. So even me, I think I'm Mr. Creative, but I'm just kind of like, yesterday working on my song, but I'm taking things I've seen and I'm just putting them together in a different way. So it's not like I came up with this whole thing. I'm just like, well, what if I did this in the intro like they did on that movie? Or what if I put a spin on it the way this comedian does? And what if I do this little sound like Daft Punk or what? And but it's cool because this isn't a Daft Punk beat. So you know what I mean? So it's like, this is how my brain works. It's like I'm just robbing everyone, but I'm robbing them in a way that's like, oh, that's different. So it's like I'm, and that's what we do, as creatives. We're just, we don't make colors. They're just there. We don't make sounds.
Right.
They're just there. We didn't make up a chord. Go out there and make a chord no one's ever made. All right. Then you can prove me wrong. It's like, you just can't.
And to that extent, that is the baton toss of knowledge throughout human history. But I think really that's the artistic process, is taking multiple influences and integrating them into this new thing, new in the sense that it exists now and not before.
Right.
But like
and that's another trick too. Go back 50 years. I used to do that all the time. All the time. There's a record I did with Snoop and Jadakiss, and the whole inspiration came from I was like, let me get it was like an old CD I picked up at Tower Records of like 50s, because I wanted to do something with like a 50s vibe, kind of like that, kind of like Lowrider, kind of like that those classic tunes. And there was like this Lowrider compilation. I just listened to it, and I came up, and I saw the rhythm of it, the dun 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 dun, like it had this like little bounce to it, which is why they do the toot toot, and it all made sense, and it was like, that's the original, and then I wanted to, I just put some vibes on there, it's hip hop still, and then here I come with this new creation, which I even had to give some clearance on one of the people that I basically interpolated to do it from that CD. And it's what we do, You'll watch something, you might watch Seinfeld, and you might say, well, see how he saw that funny weird thing and then he did this and did that. All right, well, I'm gonna flip it. I'm not gonna go and see something weird. I'm gonna see something that's normal. And like that's how we work. We just say we configure things, and that's how we show something different.
Yeah.
And
like I said, I think that kind of is the artistic process.
And that's a motivator too.
Yeah, true. It's interesting what you said too, Mike, about you ultimately have to be honest with your own artistic creation, and you kind of have to have faith in yourself. But I think maybe you intimated it's okay to kind of consider what other people or what your supposed audience might think of this or might be attracted to. But I suppose it's about just having a healthy balance in your mind of, well, it should be mostly your thing. And then it's ultimately you are creating it. You should feel good about it. But it's okay to think about, is this the right moment for the thing, or would these folks like this or something?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's,
but that balance is key, I guess.
Balance. It's, and also, you got to really, I'm at the age now where I'm going to dare say I think I kind of know myself a little bit now. I'm 46 and I can say I kind of.
I want to get there.
I'm not going to say I do because it's very hard to be objective. I mean, all you need to do is be married to someone as long as I have, and sure thing, they're going to let you know some stuff you didn't notice about yourself. It's their job. And everyone's good at it too. You don't have to worry. You're going to find someone who can't do that. No, everyone can do that.
Yeah, no, everybody's.
You'll be just fine. So it's but I'm a little bit better, and I kind of, and it's kind of nice. This is probably the first project I'm doing where I really feel like it's me. As much as I might not even be 100% me on it because I don't have the objectivity I didn't dig that deep maybe, and I think I did. But at least it feels like that. It feels like, oh, wow. I'm even in the intro. My mother always told me this story, for the album, I'm going to have an intro of, excuse me, I'm banging on these drums and my dad, I'm banging on them all. And I remember it was like a Muppet drum. I remember I was probably 2. I used to bang on that thing all the time. Boom, 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 boom. And my dad was sick of it. So he goes, this is going to be a Spanish curse. He goes, para eso, yeah, puta. So that's stop it, you son of a bitch. So I go and then I go, and this is going to be the intro for the album. And then I make a beat. My mom says I stopped, looked at him, and I was like, and I kind of and I was like, hija puta, hija puta, hija puta. So I made a beat, and that's me at 2 years old, 3 years old, and it's just kind of cool because it's to see that even at that age I was looping something.
Yeah,
I didn't know nothing about hip hop, how things were gonna go, how the progress, of looping was going to become a centerpiece of popular music. But I looped it. And I didn't know what it meant. It just sounded cool. The rhythm of it. I was like, oh. I thought Dad was looking out for me. I was like, thanks,
he was
Dad.
Giving you inspiration.
I was like, damn, Dad, that's a good one. I've been here all day and I couldn't think of nothing that good. And I was like, yeah. And my mom said, I just kind of looked, shook my head, and I just started, I was like, "Hija puta, hija puta, boom, boom, chi, do, boom, boom, chi." And that's how I'm starting the album, because it's a real thing. Thank you, Ivan.
I think Ivan's correct about that.
Ivan says I'm a musical genius. That's humbling. Thank you. So yeah, man. Like, I think if you can reach, if just for self-satisfaction, let's put it this way. I'm telling you 100%, I'm going to be self-satisfied with this project, because for God's sakes, I'm including everything. That's the first moment I made music. And I'm going to take it through the process. And in my opinion, that is like, our stories are who we are, where we come from. Some people are just so, like, not only good at art, and I'm going to bring up Dave Chappelle, because I was watching him, because now we can watch it on Netflix. He got his whole thing. He's such a brilliant human being.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I forget about fun. Oh, he's a fun. No, he's a brilliant human being. From the way he got his Netflix to let go, from the way he is so intelligent. I'd like to see his IQ, to be quite honest, which I'd be curious to see what he tests on, because he is super intelligent. Because he deals with a population of millions in such an excellent strategic way, while still being funny, while still being socially, like, how hard that is to be socially conscious and popular?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if that's not
no one's
intelligence,
allowed to do that. Yeah.
If that's not intelligence at a very high level, and he's even figured out a way to say what the F he wants.
Yeah, and I mean, you could not have a more shining example of somebody who's true to their artistic vision.
Yeah. Like, he just goes, he'll say something that is just so not PC.
Yes.
And you can go back to 2005, because now they're showing those episodes.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's funny. It's perfect. It's done in such a way. He's doing something so inappropriate. But in that inappropriateness, he's cutting through the BS.
Yeah, that's a big
I mean,
part.
what a high level of art. He's funny. He's got jokes. He's got social commentary. He's even, I'll dare say this, at the bottom of what he does, like underneath it, I'm gonna say, this is just an opinion. No one can know this. There's even a good intention to open people's eyes to things and to make the world a better place with his platform.
I think so too.
So I mean, damn. To me, if you want to see somebody and you know how we steal from each other, I'm telling all artists right now that watching, steal from him.
Yeah.
Steal from that guy, because he made a formula. Apply it to your painting. Apply it to whatever you're doing. I don't care what it is. The formula I'm talking about is how he approached it, how he stayed true to the form, how he never compromised, how he even had to go away and he came back. He constantly was true to what he was doing, and he's success. Like, I mean, I know it's like cracking the code to a safe. I don't go into that endeavor to try to apply that to my stuff and be like, oh, I've got it. No, I know.
Yes.
I know he opened a safe, and I don't know how he heard the clicks.
Right.
I don't know how he did it. I get that. I totally get that when I'm saying, yo, go study him. I totally get how hard that is to do, how everything mattered in his life, where he was, who he knew, the situations. I'm not taking any of the even some luck, even. I get it,
Right.
But I'm just saying, if you're going to look at someone, especially you, Derek, he's in your line.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, that guy's a beast, man.
It's true.
It's crazy.
And to to create sketches that are funny. I mean, I would say 99% of the sketches on Saturday Night Live are atrocious. And every single one of Dave Chappelle's sketches is hysterical.
Yeah,
today. And they were made
because they
15
come
years ago.
from. I mean, they're so conscious.
Yeah,
That's
true.
the killer. Like, see, this. I mean, I could go on obviously about this guy, but I'm gonna stop after this. But what's so cool about it is, you have like comedians who are just raw and raunchy and blah blah blah, and then you have even ones like Bill Cosby who never swore or anything, and he does everything under the sun, and he's so effective. It's like, he does. You can't put him. He's not Cosby. He's not Murphy. He's not Pryor. He's not Damon Wayans. He's nothing like any of these people. But he took a little bit in his own little way. And when he presents things, he presents them, and it's different because it's like he took all that kind of that came before him, and just like spun it crazy, and just was like, all right, I'm gonna take everything these guys were doing from the, you got skits and Living Color, you got all this, and he took it all, and he was like, but I'm gonna just knock this thing out the park. Yeah, and he did.
And he continues to.
And he continues to, which is wonderful. I find him inspirational, like just as a human.
That's just what I was just gonna say is, well, there's two ways to look at that. You can be frustrated by it and say, well, I'll never be that. How could I ever do anything like that? Which may or may not be true for any individual, but mostly that's a fruitless thought pattern. And that if you can be inspired by artists and other folks, as opposed to maybe feeling competitive with them, I think that's better ingredients to put into your machine.
And if you need to, like me, I had to go into another art to be, that's not my field, but he inspired the heck out of me to just think on a different plane, to think on that plane that he's thinking, to tackle issues I want to tackle that are, obviously racism is a big issue for him, and he tackled it, and he's always tackling it in different ways. So I got my issues, my things that affected me, and I'm hoping that I can tackle them in even if I can get it to like a 1%, level of what he did. That's cool for me.
That would be great, man.
Because he's way up in the sky for me. So as I said last time, we will never play, and I had to be true to my word. I actually woke up early to do this because I was so lazy during the week to not do it. We have the outro, and on the outro, how about we talk about Kyle Butler, who's coming up this week on Wednesday, which I am super excited about because he is a former minister. And man, his message of love is just hitting it out the park for me. It's just wonderful. It's a very refreshing thing, and especially coming from a former pastor. I'm really, really enjoying his Facebook page, his messaging, and can't wait to have him on the show. Should be wonderful. That's this Wednesday, 7 p.m. And of course, Tuesday, we've got Alan Watts, disguised as Derek.
That's correct.
Disguised as Derek. So we got a
conclusion of the book, chapter 6. Like I said, it's the best one, so it should be a lot of fun. As always, you can find us on all the various platforms. If you just go to that Linktree/content content, you can find us on Twitch, you can find us on Spotify, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, you can find us on YouTube. And we always do a nice mix too, so if you missed the live show, it sounds even better. Our dulcet tones on YouTube and Apple and Spotify and all that stuff. Mike, another good episode. I had a lot of fun here today.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Sounds good.